I was born in Chicago, and I lived in the suburbs outside of Chicago from 1965 till 1983. And in true Chicago tradition, I want to play you a little tune on my violin. Now this is not really a violin case. This is more of a cello case. I actually got this from a company called Auto Ordnance back in 1981. And this case here has got a story behind it. Back in 1981, in Illinois, Illinois had a law that made it illegal for civilians to own machine guns in the state of Illinois. But in 1981, the state legislature, they passed a law that actually sort of repealed that part of the law. So machine guns were no longer illegal from that time on. So I went to a Class 3 machine gun dealer and I ordered a brand new 1928 A1 Thompson submachine gun. Now, a lot of people out there will say, wait a minute, there were Thompson submachine guns, new ones, back in 1981? Yeah, there were. There was a company called Auto Ordnance in West Hurley, New York, and they were manufacturing, back in 1981, they were manufacturing mostly semi-automatic versions of the Thompson submachine gun. But every year, up until 1986, when the machine gun ownership was banned, every year Auto Ordnance would make a small run of maybe 100, maybe 200 full auto Thompsons. And they usually made a mix of 1928 A1 Thompsons and M1A Thompsons. Now, for all of you people who don't know, the 1928 A1 Thompson, that was pretty much the original Thompson, with a couple of little changes from the original Thompson was a 1921 Thompson, but the 1928 was pretty similar, and that was used at the beginning of World War II. But later on, we came out with a cost-reduced version of the Thompson, and they called it the M1A, and we used that one throughout the war. The main difference is that the M1A Thompson could not use the drum magazines, the 50 and 100 round drum magazines are out there. I ordered the 1928 A1 because I wanted to shoot the 50 and 100 round drum magazines. So I ordered the gun, and I filled out all the paperwork, got the fingerprints done, the pictures done, passport pictures. I made an appointment with my local sheriff, because back then you had to have the chief law enforcement officer sign the papers saying it was okay in your state. Now I put my nicest leisure suit on, and I went down to the sheriff's office for my appointment. And I basically kissed the guy's ass for half an hour, and he finally signed the form. So I set all the paperwork in and my $200 transfer tax. And then I just sat there and waited. And I would go to the gun store every week and sort of get my hands on the gun that I had ordered, because it was already in. It was in stock. And so I got a chance to fondle it once or twice a week. And it was a beautiful gun. It was like a work of art. It was like the Mona Lisa. It was like beautiful and exotic and just mysterious. It was just a beautiful piece of work. It was the 1928 A1 was a first generation submachine gun, and that means that there was no stamping, no tubes, no cheap crap on it. Everything was machined on this gun. It had beautiful wood stock, a beautiful pistol grip that was made out of wood. Just a gorgeous gun. It even had the useless Blish lock in it. So while I was waiting, I ended up buying this case, because this was the case that Auto Ordnance was selling with their Thompsons. So I got the case, and I was waiting, and I was just about ready to order a couple of the drum magazines. But then all of a sudden, some reporter caught wind of the fact that the machine gun ban was overturned. And they went on WGN News, which was a television station in Chicago. And they basically did a report on this, and they said that now that machine guns are illegal, people are going to go into their gun stores, and they were going to walk out with a machine gun. They were going to go and they were going to shoot up the streets. They were going to be machine gunning these little babies, and there were going to be baby parts and limbs and blood and guts from women and stuff all flowing down the streets of Chicago. Sort of like the way it is now, but that's what they were claiming. And the next day, the governor of Illinois called a special session of the legislature, and during the weekend, they reinstated the machine gun ban in Illinois. And a couple of days later, I got all my paperwork sent back from the government with a big stamp on it in red that said, denied because of state law, state prohibition. So, no Thompson for me. So I went to the dealer and told him the bad news. And he says, you know, I've got a gun that you might like that you can buy because it's not a machine gun. I said, all right, well, let me see it. And I ended up buying it. And I bought it for the same price that I was going to buy that 1928 A1 for, $550. Yeah, that Thompson, that 1928 A1 Thompson, brand new, was $550. So let's see what we got here. Well, you should know what it is because it's probably in the title. All right, here we go. Now, I want to mention that this case, when I bought it 40 years ago, it had nice padding in it. But the padding that's in this gun, it's sort of crumbled and fell apart, sort of like me over the years. And so here's the gun right here. This is a Heckler & Koch. This is a Heckler & Koch Model 93. This is the semi-automatic version of the Heckler & Koch Model 33 assault rifle, which is a machine gun. This, like I said, is the semi-automatic version of the assault rifle. Back when I bought this gun in '81, we called these either military style rifles or black rifles. We didn't really call them assault rifles because assault rifles have always been machine guns. So if you take a look at this gun here, the way you cock this gun is you got this handle over here. You gotta pull this handle back. Hey, here we go. This is a pain. And it goes in this nice little notch here. You put your magazine in there and you give it this little kick. And there it goes. Boom. That's how you load the gun. Here's the sights. You have a notch sight here. This is what you call their battle sight. That's good up to 100 yards. Then you just twist the little drum here. And then it goes from 200 to 600 yards with the aperture sights. So these the open sights are good up to 200 yards. This is a B-square scope mount I got on it with a 3x9 scope. The nice thing about this B-square scope mount is I can still use my open sights. It's got a nice hooded front sight here. It's really pretty. It's got a flash hider, evil. This is back in 1981 when they allowed the importation of these evil guns. This particular gun was banned from being imported into the United States in 1989, which is why you can't get these anymore. At least not real ones. There's a copy that Century Arms International was selling. That was I think it was a Spanish version of this gun. Not quite as good, but it's better than nothing. This particular gun, it spoiled me. It spoiled me with black rifles. This is the reason why I didn't buy an AR-15 until 2016, because this gun was so good. Every time I fired an AR-15, it was like shooting a toy. This is how good this gun is. This is a German engineered gun, and that means it's a little weird. Germans, they just engineer things different. This particular gun is not gas operated. This gun is actually delayed blowback roller locked operating system on this thing. It's just German. Now I'm gonna try and take this thing apart and show you. Oh, by the way, this is the original 25 round magazine. This isn't 223 5.56 NATO, by the way. This is a 40 round magazine. Okay, let me put these. Got this nice bipod here that fits right into stock. They had two versions of this gun. This one's got the full stock. They had one that had a collapsible stock. I'm going to try and show you how to take this thing apart. There's a pin holding the stock on. You just push on this pin here and pull it out. Now this pin comes all the way out. I actually prefer the captive pins that are in the AR-15, so you can't lose them. I think it's possible to lose this on the battlefield. Now, if you ask a German engineer, he would probably say, "Was? How could you lose that? That pin is the size of a baby's arm. How could you lose it, you dummkopf?" But to me, this thing you could lose. So you take that off and you pull this stock off here. And let's see, then you pull this guy off. This is your trigger housing here. You flip this guy up here, and you pull out this selector, and you can pull out your entire trigger pack here. The whole trigger pack comes out. Is that freaking cool or what? Now you can get a full auto trigger pack, a registered full auto trigger pack for these, but they're like $20,000, I think. So I don't. I guess not. Yeah, because they made these before the gun ban, the registered trigger housing. So I guess, all right, let me put this thing back together so I can remember. All right, there we go. Put that down. All right, let's try to get this bolt out here. Give it a little push. Here comes the bolt. Here we go, folks. You see these little rollers here? You get close up of this, Miriam? See these rollers? Now watch this. When you load the gun, you see how these rollers came out? This is what locks inside. They have these. They have cutouts inside by the barrel, by the chamber that locks this bolt. And when it fires, it'll actually delay the bolt going back until it pops this thing forward again, and then these will drop in, and then the recoil will send the bolt back and forward again. That's just a unique system. It's not gas operated, folks. So there's no gas going inside this gun. There's no gas hole drilled in the barrel. Maybe that's why this gun is so freaking accurate. Now I got to try and get this thing ready so I can put it back in the gun. Here we go. Push it forward again. Otherwise, you can't put it back. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Okay, going back in. That's good. Okay, the trigger pack, the trigger housing, I should say. Now, how much is this gun worth now? Well, I saw a version of this gun with the collapsible stock, and they sold that thing for like $2,300. That was a lot of money. So this one probably not as much. All right, come on. But maybe two grand. I don't know, because this is in pretty good shape actually. All right, give me trouble here. There we go. It's all back together. Holy shit, I got it back together. The other thing that's really unique about this gun is that the chamber in this gun has actually got flutes in it. It's got little flutes that are cut in the chamber, and what that does is that when you fire the gun, some of the gas comes back in those flutes, and the gas goes around the fired cartridge case. And it sort of floats that case out on gas, so it's easy. It makes the case easy to extract because it's floating on the gas in these flutes. When you shoot this gun, the cases eject forward into the up, straight up, and forward like this, and it kicks them about 20 feet away from this gun. And the reason why they have that kind of a ejection is that the Germans wanted it to be easy, wanted it to be hard for someone to see where the person was who was shooting this gun. They would see the cases come flying up way far away from where the gun really is, where the shooter is. It really kicks those cases out, and I can't remember ever having a misfire with this gun. It's just a brilliant design. It's typical German stuff. One day I think it was 1982, I took a friend shooting to this strip mine. It was a coal mine, an old coal mine that I used to go to. And I went there shooting with a friend of mine at work. And I had a big ammo can with about 500 rounds of .223 in it. And I made the mistake of leaving that ammo with this guy and letting him shoot it in this gun. And I went shooting somewhere else. About 2 hours later, I come back and I go there and I says, well, I asked him, did you have a good time? He says, yeah, I had a great time. The gun shot perfect. I said, do you have any malfunctions? No, it shot perfect. So I go to pick up my ammo can and it's really light. I said, well, how many rounds did you shoot? He says, well, all you had in the can. I said, you shot 500 rounds? You shot 500 rounds in 2 hours in this gun? He says, well, I just shot what was in the can. I never took that guy shooting again, but he was still a friend. Anyway. So what happened with this thing is, I haven't showed you, here's your safe and fire, your selector, safe and fire, no full auto, unfortunately. So, one of the things I ended up doing with this gun is in Christmas of 1981, I flew to, from Chicago, I flew to Florida to visit my parents, because my parents were living in Florida at the time. Back then, you could have unloaded guns in your baggage, where you had to go into you had to check them in, and you had to tell them, I have unloaded firearms in this case, and you had to open the case up and you had to show them the gun to make sure that the gun was unloaded. And then you would close the case and you would lock it up, and they would put a big red tag on your case that says, this case contains unloaded firearms, or not, just said contains unloaded firearms, right? Big red tag. So I fly over to Tampa, and I'm waiting on my luggage, and here comes one of the cases. Here comes one of my cases I had handguns in, and it was just a regular box case. And then it comes out, and these people are looking and says, oh, contains unloaded firearms. Where did this come from? And then all of a sudden, this thing falls on this escalator thing, and they see this thing. They see this cello case there, and it's with the big red tag, contains unloaded firearms. These guys go, oh, contains unloaded firearms. What has he got in there? And then they see the tag. It's from Chicago. It's from Chicago. What is this? What is going on in here? So I went and pick up these two cases, and these guys, people were sort of walking away. They didn't want to stay very close to me, except this one security guard walked up to me and said, "Sir, can I look at your claim checks for the baggage?" Yeah, sure, no problem. So I showed them to him, and then everything was fine, and I left. But when I came back, and I ended up landing in Chicago, and when I picked them up there, I had like 4 security guards, and those guys followed me out of the airport when I left. That's how crazy this was. So that was my story about this case here and my Thompson that I never had. I never got that Chicago typewriter, but I did get this. I like to call this baby the Miami chainsaw. This is a Jersey Arms M1045 clone that I built myself from a strip receiver. This is a transferable machine gun that I bought back in 1992, I think. This is a silencer. You suppressor people, you suppressor Nazis can kiss my ass. This is a silencer, a real silencer, not a fake one. Custom stock. Your red dot scope with this baby here. This is a custom 50-round stick magazine. Huh? Who needs drums, folks? This isn't 45 ACP like the Thompson. It's leaner, it's meaner, it's quieter, and it's more modern than a Thompson. Unfortunately, this gun is worth maybe $7,000, maybe $7,500 now. If I would have had that Thompson would have been worth probably over $20,000 now, even though it's one of the most least desirable Thompsons. That sucks. Anyway, yeah, this fits in here nice. Maybe I'll go and go to the range with this guy in here sometime. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to thank my wife again for taping this because she's just great. I love her so much. So thank you very much for watching.